live. Welcome. Give the doc a little bit of room so you can get into the frame here.
All right.
All right. Welcome to the Fast Pitch Live. I am MC Brown.
I am Eric Lenaburg,
the doctor of baseball.
The master communicator.
Welcome back to 2018, and we're here live
back
after a few hiccups. So we just want to let you guys know, thank you very much for bearing with us. We've found a great live stream provider in Proof.
That's right.
So if you want quick access recording and get it right on YouTube, which is what me and the doctor wanted, Proof live streaming is actually the way to go. So we want to thank them for the access, and we're here, and we're going to get right into business. Doc is our social media connection to you all. So we asked you all for questions, and Doc is going to go on the page, and he is going to read them, and we're going to answer your questions here.
We've sure got questions.
Yeah, so we want to thank all of the great viewers and listeners of the Fast Pitch over the years, and we're going to get right into business.
Yeah, we've got a lot of people. I want to mention one thing that we will be doing in future shows. We're going to have a Stump the Doc segment.
Yes.
And as we've had one guy who consistently won all of our previous trivia contests, not all of them, but he was a winner 3/4 of the time. Chuck Boyer will be the first
on previous Fast Pitches, and we'll have to post a future link for archive shows. I believe on the Fast Pitch MLB YouTube page is where all those great shows are archived. Our former producer Craig Best, and we thank him for the time he put in helping us out and stuff. And all those shows are archived on there. This is all me and Doc, so we're flying by the seat of our pants sometimes, and that's why some of these things have been hiccups throughout the past 2017. We did one season preview show, and a lot of you people are like, hey, what happened to the Fast Pitch Live? Well, due to a lot of different things, we didn't have a show after that, so we wanted to actually launch right here in 2018.
Right, and without going into a lot of details, I was on the DL for about 6 months.
The doc, just released off the DL, so he is allowed to come here and join us and join you all, thankfully, for a lot of great shows, hopefully.
Right, and I want to thank everybody. A lot of people know about what we're talking about who sent me a lot of support and a lot of encouragement. I want you all to know I appreciate that.
Yes.
But let's get into these questions here.
Yeah, I'm going to move over just a little bit to give us a little bit more.
We have Nate Miller. Nate Miller.
Thank you, Nate.
Yeah, our colleague. Nate is a podcaster in Arlington, Texas. Okay, Nate asks, of the 30 teams, which starting rotation do you think will have the most success? Same question goes for the bullpens. Let's go to the starting rotations first. Of the 30 teams in the major leagues right now, I have to go with the Washington Nationals off the top of my head. What about you?
Yeah, off the top of my head, rotation-wise, they're still stacked. I mean, this is a team that starts with both Max Scherzer, Steven Strasburg, and when you can launch two starters of that caliber right off the bat, Doctor, that's a pretty strong rotation. And one of the best pitchers in baseball is the Doc's own Clayton Kershaw, but I don't think the Dodgers have done too much. They lost, well, as far as we know, they're going to lose Ryu. We don't know if they're going to do anything else. We're still in the midst of the lukewarm stove, so to speak. So
that's right.
Darvish is still out there. Jake Arrieta is still. So Yui Darvish, Jake Arrieta is still available. Alex Cobb still, so there's a lot of great pitchers still, unsigned.
This is the first year I can remember, I don't know about you, MC, but the first year I remember where all of these free agents have spilled into the new year, unsigned.
Yeah, usually it's blamed on Scott Boras, so and then there are Scott Boras clients that are still available. So off the top of my head, Washington for sure. Trying to look at some of the other teams, I mean, I don't think coming to mind. I mean, Boston should be, but I don't know the status of David Price.
Right.
Because you're starting with Chris Sale, and that's an unbelievable.
And if you count on younger pitchers who haven't proven to consistently be successful starters in the majors yet, I go with the Yankees. They got a great rotation potential.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nate, I'd say the Nationals.
Yeah, at top of our list, I think it's safe to say. Bullpen-wise, it's hard to ignore what the Rockies have done so far.
Mm-hmm.
Acquiring Brian Shaw, Wade Davis, and there's another one I'm forgetting off the top of my head. They made the, I think it was former Rays pitcher. Was it Jake McGee, I think?
Jake McGee, yeah.
Yeah, so with acquiring all three of those bullpen pieces, the Rockies combined with their incredible offense, I think I would put the edge to them right now. Especially we don't know if I don't want to say that Holland is probably still in play for them because I think they've probably exhausted their budget. But
Probably.
off the top of my head, the Rockies have certainly done the most to improve their bullpen.
I agree. I think
Yeah.
the Rockies bullpen probably stands out. A lot of other teams have bullpen depth. I mean, right away we talk about the Dodgers again. Even losing Brandon Morrow, they have a deep bullpen. But to the Cubs, that's right. If you go starting pitcher, then let's say a starting pitcher goes 5 or 6. You have a middle reliever come in, then a bridge guy to the ninth, the closer. The Rockies are set up ready. They're ready to go.
Even losing Shaw, the Indians, off the top of my head, still you can't ignore
Indians
them
too.
with Miller and Cody Allen. So I think there's still a lot of strength right there in Cleveland's bullpen. I mean, the Yankees are still incredible with their bullpen. I know that Chapman was blamed again on overuse to the Chicago Cubs. He's got a ring though. But Chapman, you got Dave Robertson from the White Sox, and you have
Betances?
Dylan Betances. So that's right there. That's right. Got to be at the top too. So
Yeah.
I would say, looking at those teams, I think are going to be leading.
Those are the top bullpens
the
as of
top
right
one
now.
in baseball, I would say for sure.
Now
Is
let's
that
go
all
to
Nate had for us?
That's all Nate had.
Thank you, Nate, for that great question.
Thanks, Nate. And also,
Yeah,
by the
nice.
way, folks, you can listen to Nate, the Basement Show with Nate Miller. He has a Facebook page if you're on there.
Oh, okay.
And there's an app that you can find by going to that Facebook page where you can listen to Nate every week. I've been lucky enough to be a guest on Nate's show, and he does an outstanding job, so check him out.
Thank you, Nate. Yes.
Now, our next question is from our buddy Corey Seward.
All right, Corey.
Long-time listener, always
He's
been a supporter of the
watching right now.
show. I hope he is. And Corey asks, do the D-backs re-sign J.D. Martinez? Now, hold on. He's got a couple questions,
Okay.
but let's take them one by one.
Okay, one by one.
Do the D-backs re-sign J.D. Martinez? Corey, I don't believe they will, and I believe it's all because of the financial aspect of
I don't see it happening at this point. We can speculate on who we think is the front runners for him, but I don't think so.
I don't think so either. And then part of his question is, do they trade Greinke to free up money to sign J.D. Martinez? Well, they're not going to trade Greinke. I know that's been talked about and bandied about.
I don't think that maybe with that type of contract, maybe if he's proven, let's just say the Diamondbacks are out of it by the All-Star break, hypothetically,
Right.
and Greinke's having a resurgent year, I think it's possible then to move him. I just don't think anybody would probably take on that, and they'd have to eat a lot of the contract. I don't see why they would do that at this point.
And that's the only scenario I can see the Diamondbacks trading him, though, if they're out of it.
Yeah.
They want to contend. I mean, they were the wild card team this year, and they want to get back in the playoffs next year. They're not going to trade their ace pitcher.
And I don't think Greinke had a bad year.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, I mean, he maybe struggled a couple starts at the beginning.
That
but
was
really,
all, though. Compared to his first year with the Diamondbacks, he really had a resurgence.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I had him in our the Fast Pitch Fantasy League,
Uh-huh.
and I dropped him prematurely, which was my fault because I think one of our other great listeners and watchers in the league, Tony, A.E. Franz, as we
A.E.
know,
Franz,
A.E.
yes.
Franz, hopefully he'll watch this. He picked him up, and it was a great pickup. So, using that
Yeah.
analogy, I know that Greinke, was pretty strong.
he had a
after
solid year. And
Yeah.
so, again, you don't trade your ace if you're trying to
Yeah.
make it back in the playoffs. Now,
What else is
so,
Corey?
and
has
his
for us?
other question, Corey asked, do the D-backs use Archie Bradley as their closer or trade for an established closer? Or do they have someone in the organization already?
Well, they're using Fernando Rodney, right?
He's
But
he's
also
free agent now.
Well, no, I think he was signed. Was he
Somebody
signed by
else
the
signed
Tigers
him.
or
Somebody, yeah.
or
He'll be shooting his arrow up into the air for some other team.
Yeah,
Let's put it that
yeah.
way. I already know they don't have anyone in the organization who is penciled in for
I
that
believe
spot.
he's on the Tigers now.
So I believe Archie Bradley will be the closer. I think it's a good choice. I thought he should have been the closer last year personally, but they kept Rodney in there, and he did get 35, 40 saves, but his ERA was close to 5.
I mean, unless somebody else in spring training, provides lights out relief that
Right.
challenges that, or maybe Bradley struggles. But yeah, I mean, it's safe to say right now, as far as that goes, he's probably the front runner.
I agree.
Yeah.
Now, he has another interesting question here, and it kind of leads to something that we've talked about. A lot of people talk about this.
Okay.
Here's his question. Does Paul Goldschmidt finally get the NL MVP, or is Arizona simply too small of a market for that to happen? Now, first of all, Goldschmidt has to have a great season, which he frequently does.
Yes.
He has to have a better season than anyone else. He maybe has done that in the past. Is the small market of Arizona part of the reason he doesn't win?
I think that's a huge factor in it. Another great, and we have a question from one of our next questions, and I'm sure Zachary L. He frequently talks to me. I work with Zach, and he frequently talks to me about how Goldschmidt is been screwed over many times, and potentially the season with McCutcheon. I think he brings up more than likely. He has a case for him.
That year, I agree with it.
You know, I would say it's going to take probably another great year by Goldschmidt. I think it's going to take Diamondbacks probably going in strong into the playoffs.
Right.
And this is a follow-up question I have for you, Doc, piggybacking off this question from Corey, a great listener and viewer now. What do you think the criteria for an MVP should entail? Should it entail leading your teams in the playoffs? Because I would feel if you're that strong of a player, you would have probably led them to a chance at it. But what do you feel personally it should be?
I feel it should be the player who has the best season, period. But having said that, if you have a great season, usually you're carrying your team, like you said in the playoffs. But look at Giancarlo Stanton last year. Miami didn't go anywhere. But how do you deny him the MVP?
Yeah, that's what I was just going to ask you now, and this will be great feedback for you viewers. Do you feel that was the right choice in Stanton?
I did at the time, yeah.
Yeah.
59 home runs.
Yeah.
And
it's hard to almost 60 home runs, yeah.
Yeah, how do you overlook that?
I would have voted probably for Stanton if that was the criteria, and we'll get into voting later when we talk about some Hall of Fame choices and how we feel. But what do you guys think? I mean, who is your MVP?
Yeah.
Who would you guys say? Both to Corey and anyone viewing.
Yeah, comment on our page and let us know, because this is an ongoing discussion. And let me wrap it up by saying I think Goldschmidt would have to have such an outstanding season to win MVP. It would be like Stanton last year. Goldschmidt would have to put up those kind of numbers. Not only do I think Arizona can we call it a small market? I don't know.
It's probably safe to say it's a smaller market than the juggernauts in there.
It's not like Kansas City.
I wouldn't. I mean, is it any smaller than Miami per se as far as that? And you just seen Stanton get it, and Altuve got it, right?
Right, but here's what I'm going to say. Rather than it being a small market, I think there is an East Coast bias among the East Coast writers. They will not vote for West Coast players. It's been this way for as long as I can remember.
When was the last time Trout won?
Was it 3 years ago?
Yeah.
And now, again, Trout had those kind of years where you couldn't deny him the MVP.
Yeah.
Let me point to the Cy Young Award winner this past fall. Max Scherzer won. Now, if you look at the numbers, he had, I think, 4 more starts than Kershaw. And the East Coast writers said, well, Clayton Kershaw was on the DL and so forth. Well, you look at the numbers, you crunch those numbers, and Kershaw probably should have been the Cy Young Award winner last year. Scherzer got it. And some of the East Coast writers just blatantly came out and said, yeah, we weren't going to vote for Kershaw again. Well, that's kind of getting personalities into it.
Yeah, I don't think you should tell anybody that if that is a bias.
Why would you say that?
Because it's just going to inflame a Dodgers fan like yourself. To just
I'm no Dodgers fan, but
what?
I'm a baseball fan. I'm for the integrity of the game.
As I sit here with the Chicago Cubs merchandise. He has a Dodger shirt in the house that we're in. And a big plug out to Frank D for letting us host here in Sun City. Good friend of the Fast Pitch and my father. So we want to thank him for allowing us the platform here in beautiful Sun City right now.
It's great. A little overcast, but a great day.
Yeah. So what else we got? Who's next?
We got Zach Riel.
Zach Riel. Thank you for viewing, Zach. I know you'll watch this if you're not watching.
And you know what? I run into Zach from time to time, and he always is giving big props to the show. Always listens, and I want to thank you for that,
Zach. Always questions when we ask too. So
here's a good question too.
Okay.
And he has a couple questions.
All right.
Are the Yankees going to be a powerhouse, 100-plus win season, or is everything going on right now just kind of a big show, and they're not going to be able to put it all together? Boy, a 100-win season is not easy.
Pitching-wise, I'm not 100% convinced with the Yankees pitching, but I mean, our offense is going to win them a lot of games.
Their offense is going to make, I'd say, will add anywhere from 6 to 8 wins over what they had last year.
And they're 1 win away from the World Series, right? Against the champions. I think you'll probably see it. I'm going to go on a limb and say that. I
say they'll win 100 games?
They filled a lot of holes. I think either that or they're knocking right on the door. I mean, they're in the late 90s to 100 wins, so I mean, I could see it. I'm not 100% sold on pitching. I think a couple injuries to their staff can easily change that.
Down if that happens,
But I think they should be close if everybody stays healthy,
right.
Obviously.
Healthy is the key, and that goes for their lineup, too. They got a couple young players that are coming up this year, Gleyber Torres being one of them.
Oh, yeah.
He was anticipated last year, but he got injured. But you add a couple of rookies to the already really solid lineup they have. And you could be right. The Yankees
They got him
get
plugged in
100
for
wins.
second base now, don't
Yes.
they, Torres? Yeah.
They sure do.
Yeah, it's. I think Zach. It's gonna be. I mean, the thing. I'm kind of surprised at the CC Sabathia re-signing him.
I was too.
But I don't know. They might be one of those teams that maybe tries 6 starters for most of the time. I know that the Angels are rumored to be doing the 6-man pitching
This
rotation.
coming year, and it's something that you saw the Dodgers do it a lot last year.
Yeah.
They went through 6-man rotation. So something that in baseball I think is coming on. It's going to be a strategy for a while.
A little unconventional to think about it now, but it might be the norm. We might be talking about 6-man rotations like they're the 5-man ones in the future.
Boy, that'll be something. One of
Yeah.
those many changes in baseball that guys like Chuck Boyer and myself just abhor those changes.
Yes.
But Chuck and I grew up in the era of Koufax and Drysdale and Bob Gibson pitching 35 complete games in a season. So that's a whole other story. We could have Chuck on and do a whole show about that.
We should have Chuck on.
Okay, Zach's other question. Will the Dodgers come back strong? Let me take this one.
Yeah, they needed it. Yeah. Go ahead. I'll
boy,
bounce back off it.
they haven't had to do much to change that team. A lot of people have said, "Oh, the Dodgers need to sign Stanton," and well, they didn't, and they didn't want to. His contract was too much. They don't really need to make any changes other than a starting pitcher.
Yeah. How do you fill Darvish? Because right now it doesn't look like they're supposed to sign Darvish. I've heard Jake Arrieta tied more to the Rangers than LA
too.
right now, and obviously wants a lot of money. And the Dodgers right now strapped for cash. They did that.
They made that deal with the Braves.
Deal with the Braves that got Matt Kemp back, and they haven't even released them. So they're trying to find a taker to try to save any amount of that money. And like the Braves, who I think jettisoned Adrian Gonzalez
Gonzalez gone
immediately,
already,
and they
yeah.
kept the pitchers because of the needing
And they
the
kept
arms.
Charlie Culberson.
Yeah.
But as far as the Dodgers, pitching wise, I think they're going to go out and get somebody in a trade.
Oh, really?
Rather than sign somebody like Chris Archer.
You think they have the prospects to get them?
I do. Dodgers are.
Because they seem like they're
deep organization.
They don't want to release any of those prospects.
Yeah, they don't want to, but there's a couple of them they'll cut loose and they won't even miss them.
Yeah.
That's
the
my
price
gut
for
feeling.
Archer, I just don't believe is because I believe the Cubs would love to have him back in their organization.
And it may not be him. It may be another.
I think the price is very high on Chris Archer. I don't see him being moved unless it's an overwhelmingly because he still has I think a couple of years control left. I just don't see him moving unless they're going to get him like a White Sox package like they
And
got.
you could be right.
for sale.
I just think they're going to get somebody in a trade rather than sign a free agent. I know that Lance Lynn is still available, and I thought the Dodgers would go after him, but they aren't tied to any free agents right now.
I think they're just trying to save money. So if they can move pieces around like they tried with that Braves,
But will they come back strong? I believe they will. Now remember, they're in a division where they've won 5 years in a row. They've won the National League West. Giants, while the Giants have made some moves, they still are a couple years away from coming back and contending.
That's a great deal. The trade they made, the Giants getting Evan Longoria.
Yeah,
I thought that was
deal.
a great trade for them.
It was.
But again, there are question marks also pitching, staying healthy. I mean, they got. I heard the Dodgers still trying to. They were in on Stan. Obviously, Stan refused the deal. I heard them multiple times trying to get Lorenzo Cain, but I think
hasn't happened.
I mean, they got a. Seemingly on paper, they have a great staff with Bumgarner, and they got Matt Moore had been developing and stuff too. Samardzija, who's kind of been hot and cold. I mean, he had I think a solid year last year.
I still think they're a couple years away. The Padres, of course, are going to bring up the rear as always. But you got the Rockies, Diamondbacks, Dodgers. Of the three, the Dodgers could stand pat and still be the better of those three teams. So
I think it's hard because unless the Rockies can somehow develop pitching that can rival like a Kershaw or something, that offense is incredible, but the Dodgers offense is incredible.
Yeah.
So it's like whoever the Dodgers seem to bring up produces for them. So when you have that type of scouting and development that the Dodgers seem to have, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if a pitcher suddenly comes on the scene for the Dodgers too. They seem to be almost limitless in offensive potential. If they can put together developing young pitchers like they do young hitters, I think.
And they do have a couple young pitchers that are finally ready to go.
Would be in fear there. But
a guy named Walker Buehler comes to mind. But will they come back strong? I think the Dodgers will come back strong. Zach, will they win 100 games again? I don't think so. But
I don't think you're going to see that, especially unless they can replace the starting pitching that they lost in Darvish down the stretch.
Right.
But they will be, I think, a force for a long time.
I think they'll win the division again, but will they win 100 games? I don't think so. But as you just said, they're going to be a force for a long time because of their player development system.
And there's too many unsigned free agents right now
Mm-hmm.
and tangibles for us to do a 2018 preview show.
Right.
Because we don't even know who's going to be where as of right now. So right now we can't give you those predictions because a lot of things still have to shake out. So it's kind of premature for us to do that type of show like we did last
Right.
year. You
We
know,
can't
at,
do it
at
yet.
this point in the year.
But we still have a couple
So-
months left.
Yeah, so we'll do a prediction show, and we'll actually see if the doc still agrees with that. I mean, as long as the Giants or Rockies aren't doing something unbelievable to their pitching staff or offensively, I don't
Right.
see his choice changing. But
Oh,
you
and the
never
point
know.
I was going to make, the Dodgers, if you look at their lineup now, the 8 guys in the field, 6 of the 8 now are guys developed in the organization or are guys like Chris Taylor who came in as young players.
Yeah.
As Chris Taylor was just expected to be bench help, but they're players they developed.
Yeah.
And that, for the Dodgers, is the way they can keep winning.
Yeah.
They've learned about going out and spending money on free agents who don't end up bringing a championship. So,
Yeah, I see them at the top of the heap unless the Diamondbacks or Rockies can do something else.
Something
It's
major,
a
yeah.
great great that the Rockies fortified their bullpen, but at the top of the rotation they don't have anybody that's going to stop a Kershaw or stop whoever the Dodgers are throwing
That's
out
right.
there. You know, so and offensively, you know, you have 1 year older Carlos Gonzalez. So I mean, and he's a free agent
He's
too.
a free agent.
So I don't even know if they're bringing him back.
Who
yet.
knows?
So yeah, I would say they're going to come back, Zach. You know, just
Right.
You know, the rhyme
It's,
there.
let me quickly mention, it's funny you said Carlos Gonzalez is older. Carlos Gonzalez is 32, and yet we think of him as being an aged
Yeah.
player now. Isn't it
Yeah.
interesting how
But I
things
think
have
the
changed?
injuries and everything over the years, you know, I think has taken its toll on him, and it's doubtful that they bring him back. I think they spent the money they saved probably on him
Yeah,
to fortify the bullpen.
I agree.
Yeah.
Corey
else we got?
Seward,
Corey
going back to
again?
Corey, he has another.
Okay.
Corey, always entertaining, if not enlightening. Corey has another question. What is the meaning of life? And Corey, what I'd like to say is, baseball transcends life. Baseball is the meaning of life,
That's what
and that's quite simply
the
put.
Facebook page answered that question for you, Corey,
Yes.
just to let you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
And let me go to our final question from our buddy Paul Pritchard.
Paul, thank you for viewing, Paul. Hopefully you're watching.
Yeah, Paul, good to hear from you.
Yes.
Okay, he says, I see an advertisement for buying Braves stock. Is that a legit thing to do? And how do I acquire stocks in other teams I may be interested in? I looked into this.
You did? Okay, good.
Yeah, because we talked about it
Yeah,
earlier in the
yeah,
day,
we're
and
like,
I
okay.
thought it was some kind of
A hoax.
bogus question for Paul, or that he was playing games with us.
Yeah.
But actually, the Braves apparently have they have a public stock offering.
Okay.
Now, they're not giving up majority stock ownership,
Yeah.
but you can buy stock in the Braves.
Would you buy stock in
Most
the Braves?
and most other major league teams do not offer stock
Okay.
in their team. Their owners are their owners,
Yeah.
but the Braves, okay.
So would you buy stock in the
Would I personally?
Yeah.
I would not.
Okay.
And his question is, as a diehard fan, is it a legit thing to do? It is legit. You can do that.
Just the Braves, though, mind you, so far.
So far, that's the only team I found that you can buy stock in. Now,
Paul has a very strange selection of favorite teams, ranging from part-time Cardinals, Steelers, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, going to different sports. So I don't know what the status of all these different teams would be, Paul, but I know you like the Braves as well. I've known Paul a long time. So yes, Paul, you can buy stock in the Braves.
now, would I do it? Let me ask you, MC, would you do it?
How much is the stock, Doc? Did you?
I didn't get into the pricing. I just wanted to find out if it was legit.
Is it too much for you, Paul? I guess that's a question to bounce back at you. I
Do you
guess we
believe
need
in
to
the
find
Braves
out.
that much?
Yeah, I don't think I do enough to where whatever the stock would be.
I don't either.
I would buy that stock in the Braves. Right?
However, the last
buy
thing-
low. That's really what you got to do, anyways.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say about it is investing in a baseball team has never been more profitable than right now. I mean, they're making money like you would not believe. The owners are making tremendous money, so
Yeah.
is Major League Baseball. So, if you're going to invest in the stock market, probably Major League Baseball team, not a bad investment.
Yeah.
Having said that, though, I am not a licensed stock counselor or investment counselor.
This is
so
not a stock advice show.
No,
Richard,
not at all.
So just to let you know,
my stock answer is research it for
you
yourself.
know,
and we'll see.
thankfully you tied it into baseball, Paul, and like Corey, you asked the meaning of life. But we gave you our best educated. We obviously don't suggest asking us for stock tips. Obviously,
Right.
We can't give that out, and we shouldn't probably be trusted to get
That's right.
those out, but
Yeah, if we were that smart about all that, MC and I would be sitting here in $3,000 suits with our new Jaguars and
$1
Mercedes
million
parked out
camera
there.
recording us, and
Right.
we wouldn't have to struggle to find out how to get live out to you people.
In
as well.
fact, we would just buy a TV station.
Yeah, we just broadcast live.
Be the host 24/7.
To bring it full circle, these were great questions from y'all. We're going to do this every time when we warn you that, hey, we're going to be coming up with a new show. We'll throw the questions out there to you guys to be interactive. That's something in any form the Fast Pitch has always been to you guys. Anybody who's followed us in our previous incarnations of the show, podcast and live stream and audio stream. So this is going to be the norm basically for our live stream show to you guys. So any questions you have coming off of this show and coming into the season, throw them our way on the Fast Pitch page. The Fast Pitch Live at gmail.com, obviously at the Fast Pitch, MLB on Twitter. We're always open to those as well. We kind of rebranded ourselves with the new logo, with a lot of the stuff, and we're hoping to give you a lot more shows now that we know what we're doing. Kind of
Definitely this year.
So
and let's take it into another topic that a lot of people have asked me about, and I think you too.
Yeah.
The Hall of Fame.
Yes. So we have the Hall of Fame coming up.
January 24th, they will
right?
announce the winners of the balloting that went on until I think it was December 1st.
So Doc, to get right into it, then who do you think should be a lock for this?
A lock for this Hall of Fame. Now, I know over the previous 2 years we have discussed his name. You and I were stunned that he wasn't elected yet, but I think Trevor Hoffman needs to be in
I don't know why he's not, to be honest with you. I believe his track record speaks for himself, but just Hall of Fame class individual as well. I think we spoke about that as well. That
both of us interacted with him when we worked at Peoria Stadium.
Yeah.
And Trevor should be in there. His numbers alone, forget about his great personality and his contributions to the game and to the fans. His numbers alone make him Hall of Fame.
But that seems to be a factor in their voting, like the quality of person they are. Did they do in performance enhancing?
Yes.
This is legit questions that these writers are asking themselves before they're voting. So they're voting kind of with these things in mind. I mean,
and that
factoring that along with his numbers,
he's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I
would get in.
I would be voting for him. But like we were kind of alluding to earlier, should this be in the hands of these writers? Because we've talked about before in the past. Should it just be the veterans voting for the players to begin with? Because I would feel that would, not to discredit any writer's experience of watching it, but I mean, you're putting all of the possibilities of these players getting into their enshrinement in Cooperstown of the Hall of Fame in the hands of writers, not necessarily the player. Now, they'll get their time with the Veterans Committee, but I pose this question to you and our viewers as well. Should this just be veterans voting on this? You've both written about baseball. You've played the game, up to a certain level. How would you do this if you were the commissioner?
I would make it a mix of veterans, players who played the game, and some writers.
Yeah.
But there is somebody can correct me on this, 500 plus members of the Baseball Writers Association of America. I don't believe that every member is qualified to vote on Hall of Fame caliber players.
What about the front office of Major League Baseball? Shouldn't they have a say? I mean, this isn't affecting their ability.
Somebody from the front office.
I agree. I like that. I mean, using some writers maybe of tenure.
Right.
And then you have the Veterans Committee. Then you also have the Commissioner of Baseball.
Right.
Those
in front.
The President of the National League, American League. They should have a say. I would think. They have their positions for a reason.
Yeah. So it definitely needs to change, in my opinion. And for a couple other reasons we'll talk about momentarily.
Yeah.
But I think Hoffman should be a lock. I also think Vladimir Guerrero should be a lock this year. If you look at what he did, numbers-wise, tremendous player. I never heard a whiff of PED rumor about him.
Vlad, strong numbers on Vlad, and he was an elite player in his era.
And a lot of people talk about, to be in the Hall of Fame, one of the things a player should have done was helped his team win a championship. Well, the Angels in 2002 Vlad was the key player. I can't remember exactly what he hit. I should, being the doctor, I should know, but I think he hit 360, 370.
Now, would you put Vlad in an Expos hat, or would you put him in the?
I personally put him in an Angels hat, but he made
I know
one as an
there's
Expo.
very rare Expos hats. I think that's
Yes.
part of the reason Andre Dawson is wearing an Expos hat
Yeah.
as well, instead of, I mean, the many great years he had with the Chicago Cubs.
The other thing that they point out is that a player should be dominant during his era.
Yeah.
And people may forget, MC, but I know you remember he was as dominant a hitter as there was for a 8 or 9 year stretch there.
I agree.
So Vlad should be in there. The third player I think is a lock will be Chipper Jones.
Yeah.
For a lot of reasons, numbers wise, winning wise, they went to the playoffs year after year when he was there. He had great numbers. He was a leader on the field. Off the field, not the greatest example, but again, do we take that into consideration or do we take him as a player?
Yeah.
So let's look at him as a player. He belongs.
Yeah, there's certainly factors, that would say that for sure. When it comes to that as well. I think all good choices when it comes to, both, when you're talking about Hoffman, you're talking about Vlad Guerrero, you're talking about
Chipper Jones. And I think
we'll have to adjust the lighting here in a second.
that's okay. The other thing that I've been hearing